What's up, everybody? Josh Armijo here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to be talking to you about the new album from the band Suffocation, entitled Of the Dark Light. This is released on Nuclear Blast Records. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they are based out of Long Island, New York, and to be perfectly honest, if you're a fan of death metal, New York death metal, brutal or technical death metal, a band like Suffocation need absolutely no introduction. This band is incredibly pioneering, incredibly legendary, paving a way for many other bands to follow. Just a very, very crucial and important band in the annals of death metal's history. I mean, I've enjoyed a lot of things from this band throughout the years. I mean, preferably the earliest material from this band, especially the Human Waste EP, to their Roadrunner Records run with albums like Effigy of the Forgotten, Pierced from Within. I mean, I loved Effigy for a long time, but Pierced from Within is my personal favorite record of theirs nowadays. Moving to the second wind of this band in the early 2000s with the Despise the Sun EP and full lengths like the self-titled album, and more recent moves into more modern, contemporary sort of sounds with albums like Blood Oath and Pinnacle of Bedlam, which was the last time we had heard an album from Suffocation back in 2013. But this band has always been solid, reliable, and consistent, always putting on great shows live, putting on great music, and just an overall solid band throughout and through and through. When I found out that there was going to be a new Suffocation album, I was very excited to hear what was going to happen and come next. But once I heard the first single released, I believe the song being Your Last Breaths, I'm not going to lie, I had a bit of skepticism going into this album. Because something about the way the song came out, the way it sounded, didn't really feel right to me. I don't know if people are saying that the song was compressed because of YouTube or other sort of criticisms, probably because of the way the vocals sounded or the way certain things were played out. I don't know. But I wanted to come into this album with an open mind, like I pretty much do for anything I listen to and review here. And here we are with the 8th full length from Suffocation, entitled Of the Dark Light. It's 9 tracks, and it clocks in at around 35 minutes in length, and pretty much this album is going to get a lot of people talking. This is either going to divide you or bring you to get closer together. There's going to be a lot of questions to be answered with an album like this, but one thing I can really say for the most part about Of the Dark Light is that musically, this is easily an absolutely massive, massive record. Of course, like I said, that Suffocation have been going into a more contemporary, clean sort of sound with their production, and I have to say that I feel Of the Dark Light is the most clean, most modern, contemporary sounding Suffocation record I've heard yet. You can easily tell that that's the type of vibe and feeling you get when you listen to this album once you hear the opening riffs of Clarity Through Deprivation, which is one little fun thing to point out about this album, is the fact that it doesn't just build up anything. It just goes straight to the jugular with that opening vocal roar and riff stuff going on with that track. This is a very well produced record, very clean sounding. Some may like it, some may not, but there's a lot of people who will have differing opinions about this regardless. But let's get on to the music. There's been some new blood infused into this band, and it really, really shows with this album. Of course, you get the typical Suffocation riffs that you are well known and familiar with. You hear that on songs like The Warmth Within the Dark, Return to the Abyss, and probably one of my favorite parts of this entire record is the title track. The second half of the song, there's this really, really gnarly breakdown sort of part and riff that goes along with it that just sounds so heavy and satisfying. It really, really sounds wonderful, and I think Terrence does amazing, amazing jobs here with the guitar playing and the riffs that are going on here. This new guitar player that's been brought to the fold, I believe his name is Charles Ergo. I think I might have his name right wrong or whatever, but yeah, anywho, this new guitar player that's brought in helps bring in and accompany the guitar riffs very, very well, and is played very nicely. Good riffs, good solos, a lot of heavy breakdown parts. I just love when those parts come in, and I think they make the songs go along that much smoother and faster. Bass work Derek Boyer is one of the best bassists in not only in death metal but metal in general. He's a great joy to watch live, and to hear him play on this record really sounds wonderful. You do hear his bass pop up in every single track on this record, and I think everything works out very tremendously here for Derek's bass performance. It really does sound wonderful to listen to. Drum-wise, this is a very contemporary sort of drum sound going on for this particular record. New drummer brought into the fold. Solid performance, solid work rate, very consistent pace all the way throughout, very heavy on fills, blast beats, good footwork. I've been hearing a lot of good things about his performance when it comes to him playing live. I believe I got to see him play, I don't know if I got to see him play last year with Suffocation for the Summer Slaughter tour, but overall just a really solid drum performance all the way throughout here. And when it comes to the vocals, I have a little bit of a concern when it comes to the vocal parts of this record. It's no secret that Frank Mullen is one of the greatest death metal vocalists of all time. He is an amazing vocalist. His stage presence, his roar, his powerful sort of deliveries make a Suffocation record sound good. But when it comes to Of the Dark Light, I don't know if it's because his vocals sound a little bit buried within this album's mix, or if certain parts make him sound quiet, or the way he sounds whispery. I don't know. I don't really think that's like Frank to sound like that or be that way. I really don't know what the deal is with the vocals going on here, because there are moments on this album where Frank's vocals really do begin to shine and it sounds wonderful. But there are moments where his vocals begin to just, not sound as loud and as heavy as they need to be. It's kind of a mixed bag, but for where the moments Frank does shine, I think he does shine great here. I think the Return to the Abyss is one of the better songs on here, where you get the best of Frank's vocal work. The title track is very solid too. And one thing I can point out that's another really interesting positive about this record is the closing track, Epitaph of the Credulous, which is a reworking of a song from Breeding the Spawn. A lot of people think that some songs and some production on Breeding the Spawn could have been better, but it's very nice to hear a song from that second album gets a better treatment, and I think it really sounds amazing. Everything is a lot more improved on that particular song. So overall, a lot of questions to be asked about this album. For one, I think not really so much questions, but things to think about. I think this is a very solid album. When it comes to music, I think these guys are on their top of their game and deliver a very solid performance. A lot of memorable riffs and breakdown parts. I really wish Frank's vocals could have had better justice been used here. He's an amazing vocalist, but this album could have done much better for him. Not just for him, but for what could be done to come. I don't know if he'll be continuing to record vocals with this album, or if they're going to hand it over to their current new vocalist that's doing live stuff with them. A lot of questions to be asked, but for what it's worth, it's a solid album. I definitely would recommend it if you're into Suffocation, if you're into their current body of work. I don't think that this is their best album. I think albums that preceded this are far better. But for what it's worth, I think it's a solid listen. There's definitely a lot of things that'll keep you coming back to listening to it. So if I had to pick any favorite tracks, I would definitely have to say The Warmth Within the Dark, Return to the Abyss, the title track, sickest breakdown I've heard this year so far. Some Things Should Be Left Alone, and the closing track, Epitaph of the Credulous, the cover from the Breeding the Spawn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you some links in the description box as to how you can get a hold of this album and listen to it. I will leave you links to the songs Your Last Breaths and Return to the Abyss, which I believe are streaming on YouTube. I will also leave you links to where you can purchase physical copies of this album. It's available on CD and 12-inch vinyl. This band is currently touring with Morbid Angel, Revocation, and Withered, so if they happen to be playing anywhere near you, definitely go check them out. They will be a powerhouse live, that is for damn sure. So again, the album is Of the Dark Light by Suffocation. This is released on Nuclear Blast Records. Go check this out. And for a score, I'm going to give this a light 8 out of 10. The music is what will keep me coming back to listening to this album. I definitely think Frank's vocals could have been way better utilized on this album, but that's just my personal opinion. Everybody's going to have their own sort of say on this record. So if you happen to have heard this album, definitely let me know what you think about it and how you feel about it and how you think it compares to previous Suffocation records. Are you into Suffocation? There's going to be a lot of discussions about this album, that's for damn sure. So I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel, and I'm getting discombobulated here, sorry. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel. Until the next time, Army Ho out.